And we are live. Welcome, folks, to episode 3654 of the Survival Podcast. It is a Wednesday, and Wednesday usually means interview day. And today, Wednesday, means interview day. You know, we have talked about the transition from employment to entrepreneurship via the side hustle almost since this show began, because honestly, that's how the show began. I actually owned a company, but I really didn't want to work there anymore. Imagine that. And started this podcast in my car, for those that are new around here, back in 2008. Well, that makes me an old man. And I did that for about 18 months and then sold out my interest in my actually several companies that I was part of at the time and went to do this full time. So that transition we've talked about. But what we haven't really talked about is doing it in a big way, or maybe even doing it perpetually. I'm not sure actually what's going on with our guest Nate today, whether he plans on continuing this way for a long time, because it sounds like he's actually built his business to not need him that much while he still has a job. And there are certain things, I'm sure, as we get into it today, that are really nice about having employment, i.e. W-2, even if I own the company, but still like the company's paying things like matching SSI and benefits, and having a big side income, which, you know, I had that for about a year here. And it was a little hard to walk away from, except, you know, depends on what you want to do with your business and your life. So we'll talk about those transitions, finding a niche, finding customers, and how to do this in a big way. How big? Like a 500K way, right? Building a business up to a 500K business while you still work a W-2 job. Is it possible? We're going to talk to Nate. We're going to grill him. We're going to find out, yo, bro, what are you doing and how are you doing it? And we'll ask all the questions. And if you have questions, you know what you need to do. If you are in the live feed right now, put the word question in all caps and then give me your question. Give me your question in a single sentence so we know what the hell you're asking, and so do you. And then if you want to give us details, do it after that. We will get Nate on in just a minute and get into it. Before we do that, let's go ahead and hear from our sponsors of the day today. Sponsor of the day number one today is, who is it? It is Above Phone. Above Phone is the way that you can have your own private ecosystem for all the apps on your phone. You can have a phone that doesn't spy on you, that doesn't let your carrier spy on you, that doesn't let the app maker spy on you, that doesn't let the government spy on you. And there's a lot of other options too, including the Above Book, which is a great way to take your privacy back with your desktop applications. And, you know, when I had Hakeem on last week from Above Phone, they had a special going, and it was only supposed to be 2 days. It looks like they extended it. It's still running. So for the next 4 days, you can still get 10% off if you buy 2 devices. That could be 2 phones, 2 Above Books, 1 of each, and get that 10% off. And if you're an MSB member, you still get the $75 off the Above Phone, and you can stack the discounts, because I asked Hakeem, and he said, yeah, sure, you can do that. So if you have a problem getting that done, you let me know, and I'll talk to Hakeem, and we'll get it done. But check out Above Phone and take back your privacy. Next up today is Joel Riles with K9 Academy. That is an offshoot of Fortress K9, where Joel breeds and trains some of the best protection dogs in the business. But as he was doing that, he had a lot of people that maybe couldn't afford a 2-year-old fully trained dog, wanted to take on the training themselves, or they didn't really want a protection dog. They wanted a homestead dog, or they wanted a hunting dog, or they just wanted a dog that didn't jack stuff up inside the house. So he developed K9Academy.us. He did that in conjunction with me. We worked on this together a couple of years ago when he brought me my dog, Belle, Belgian Malinois German Shepherd Cross. She's a wonderful dog from Fortress K9. But you can find all the courses at K9Academy.us. Check it out today, K9Academy.us, and know this. There is a course called the Problem Solving Library. It is completely free. That way you can decide if this is right for you. I recommend everybody consider at least the basics course. You take that basics course, you learn how to train yourself to train your dog, those basic core obedience things, and you can take that dog anywhere from there. I know it seems overly simplified, but it really isn't. With that, let's bring our special guest on. Again, we're just going to call him Nate today, and he is anonymous for a very good reason. We actually had somebody come on and talk about doing things like this in the past, and it did get back to their employer, and they did lose their job. So we're not going to let that happen to Nate. With that, I want to say, Nate, welcome to the Survival Podcast, man. Nate, do you hear me?
Hey, Jack, I'm excited to be here. Been a long time listener since way back in the Jetta.
Glad to have you with us, man. Hey, can we start off with, I know you don't want to give away exactly who you are, but can you give us a little bit of your background story, like at least the industry you're in professionally and, you know, how you got into that and what made you decide to build something of your own?
Yeah, so I've been in the equipment world for a long time, so in the rental industry, and with that, we've always been selling parts and selling equipment to these construction companies, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth on. That's where that's where I kind of got my first experience in the industry. And that's kind of where I started to see a hole in the world that I live in and wanted to build a business in.
Okay, that's interesting. So you have a full-time job, you haven't left yet, and you're building this side business. And here in your industry, I start to make some connections with the volume of money in this to a degree. But you could be outside that industry, I don't know. But how do you build a business while working full-time? And I guess there's more than one way to answer that question. So when I say how do you, I mean how does Nate build a business while working full-time?
Yeah, I'll be the first to say it's not easy. A lot of early mornings and a lot of long nights. And I remember way back when, like when you were saying, how you started the Survival Podcast. You wake up early and you put in some time and you kind of just have to slog through it. The first few years were really difficult. I'll hate to say those first few years didn't really have a lot to show for it. And then all of a sudden, it seems like we really started to hit started to hit rocket fuel, and then we kept going.
And how are you? I mean, but how? Like, I mean, can you tell us something about the business that you've built? What it does or what it delivers, and then the mechanics of how you made this work.
Yeah, for sure. So we're in the parts industry. So we sell parts for big earth moving equipment. And so the earth moving equipment, for anyone who isn't aware, they're expensive and parts are expensive. And dealing with the equipment companies, like Cat, Case, any of those big guys out there, they're hard to deal with, and people don't really want to deal with them, and lead times are long, and to be fair, there's a lot of open space, and that's kind of where we started to cut our teeth, and that's where we saw a hole in the market. So maybe answering your question in a little bit of a different way, how do we do it? I started looking around, and the parts that we sell, there wasn't an online store for them, so I built an online store, so anybody can come right online and buy the parts that they want, and they can just check out online and move on with their life, versus having to call 12 different equipment companies, get one quote from 12 different people, because no one ever gets back to you. And it started to really roll, and that's how we've really started to get some steam here.
And I actually kind of have a background in this space because I, for a while, worked in the outside plant construction market. We did directional boring, vibe plows, lots of work with excavators and backhoes and stuff like that. So I know what you're saying. The stuff's really expensive. And like, we were in a really hot part of the market. This was like the 1990s, and everybody was laying fiber optic cable all over Dallas-Fort Worth. So we had active reps constantly visiting us from like Vermeer and Ditch Witch as an example. But I just say they were really proud of their parts, and I had a feeling that their margins were excessive. And so is that maybe part of the angle too, that by, not paying a guy to run around and talk to people out in the streets or whatever, the guy just knows I need new teeth for this drill bit, or I need, a new bucket for this excavator. I know what I need. I just want to buy it. And then maybe you can actually lower your margin a bit. Customer gets a little bit better of a price and no hassle. Is that kind of the value prop?
Yeah, for sure. So that's been a big difference for our customers is, versus, any Joe Schmo off the street, is that they can go right online. They know what they need. They can punch in a part number on our website, and we've kind of built like a Napa or Advanced Auto type setup, and we can actually just fulfill their order. We built a good network of companies we deal with, and just get it to them quick and easy. And yeah, we obviously we're less expensive than the OEMs, but we still make healthy margins, and that's how we were able to scale this business to the size that we have. And obviously that's my first bit of advice for anybody who's wanting to actually to get into a business is sell something expensive. Don't sell an $8 don't sell an $8 item, or anybody in the homesteading space, don't sell an $8 jar of beeswax or something small. Sell something expensive. Sell something that's $800.
Yeah, and just for folks, as we continue through here, Nate and I seem to have some sort of a latency issue going on. It wasn't there in our pre-show talk. It's not affecting the audio quality, so we'll deal with it. But when I quit and you're waiting for him to answer, I figured it out now. It's about 4.5, 5 seconds. It'll all be good. Just wait. When I boot the audio, I can pull those long pauses out real easy. I'm not sure why that's happening. But I'm with you on the sell something expensive thing. Like another thing that goes back to heavy equipment, that was actually, I used to do a lot of basically arbitrage online when Google AdSense actually paid decent money. So people would have a website and then they would have ads on it. And if somebody came to your site, didn't buy from you, click that ad, you still made a little bit of money. And one of my best paying niches is I built little microsites about heavy equipment, because just the clicks for some of that stuff was $5, $6, $7, which meant that Google was probably getting, $14, $15 just for the advertiser to advertise that equipment. Because it is so expensive, there's a lot of money in it. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I would say even like if you're going to be in like the beeswax business, that's probably tough, but you'd be better off selling it by the case to somebody than selling it individually from a pure business standpoint. Okay, that's a bit long. Nate, you there? Nate, we don't hear you.
Jack, are you still with me?
Yeah, we don't hear a word you're saying, though, until just now.
I'm not sure what's going on. I apologize for the audio issues.
Okay. Did you hear my question?
I didn't. Please repeat.
Folks, I'm sorry. This is not going to work. If we can retool and come back on with a new feed, we will. This delay is I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to go ahead and end the stream right now, and I'll talk to Nate offline and see if we can work this out.